What's up, y'all? Broncos country. We're back for yet another Broncos talk, and of course, we're gonna actually talk about folks talking about Bo Nix and really the Broncos just in general. And the odd thing about that is it's one of the individuals in question is someone I've been known to be a fan of. Not sure how I'm feeling about it with this, especially with other stuff that's going on outside of what we're gonna talk about, but we'll leave that for what it is. Most importantly, we're actually also going to talk about a returning Broncos player, and this one's huge. We spoke about him yesterday, so I think y'all have a pretty good idea who I'm talking about. Either way, we're actually going to get into an article from an individual by the name of Jeff Howe, and he is a writer for The Athletic. Now, he had some pretty interesting things to say about Bo Nix here in an article that he had posted, and I'm pretty sure this is today. But in any case, we're going to go right into that. Now, of course, this is him speaking on the Broncos' offensive struggles and the way the season is navigated. The Broncos rank 17th in points, 13th in total yards, 17th in passing yards, and 21st in net yards per attempt, more or less their average across the board. Fair. I mean, that's just kind of what it just is what it is. I'm not going to argue with that. But Denver also boasts the league's third-ranked defense in points and yards allowed, so it's not like the Broncos need Nix to grip it and rip it every week. The formula seemingly fits into his ideal model for success, and hey, the Broncos are the only team to knock off both Super Bowl participants from a season ago, chopping down the Eagles in Philly in Week 5, and the Chiefs on Sunday. Nix finished 48 of 76, passing for 537 yards, one touchdown, and no turnovers in those games, so he played a pivotal role in each victory. His comebacks are no fluke. Nix has high-end intangibles, according to those who scouted him before the draft, and he is comfortable in chaos. He also tallied 3 fourth-quarter comebacks as a rookie. However, it's not like the Broncos are saving Nix for the fourth quarter. He's actually delivered more passes in the first half, 205, than the second, 182. Okay. The attempts aren't disproportionately tilted like they may have been for previous leaders in pass attempts. One struggle has been consistency, according to coaches and execs who have studied Nix, but that's true for nearly all second-year QBs. Call it the second or the sophomore slump for a reason, but nonetheless. The Broncos have gotten into trouble when defenses have forced them to methodically work down the field, taking away the bigger plays where Nix has been known to thrive. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, that's kind of the idea. I mean, Spagnuolo wouldn't be doing his job if that wasn't the case. I mean, I just. Anyway, we'll just let that be what it is there. Let me see. On one hand, Peyton should be thrilled that he's been able to test his quarterback in a variety of situations. Now they've raced out to the AFC's number one seed. If Nix improves his pocket presence and the Broncos can add players who can gain yards after the catch, he could really take off in future seasons. On the other hand, the scheme fit still looks a little funky. The dramatic ups and downs on offense could doom the Broncos in the postseason. And if there's something to the square peg round hole theory with Nix and the scheme, it's fair to wonder if there's a cap on the offense's potential. That's the conundrum. Right. Okay. Conundrum. Sure. All right. I would just say this. I think what we saw on Sunday was a step in the right direction because that was one of his better performances. Sure, the first couple of drives ended in field goals, and you would prefer for those to actually end in touchdowns. But good thing about that is that there was actually some structure in the movement. It helps that we got the return of LJH, little Jordan Humphrey, to fill the role of a blocking receiver, which was something that was relegated to Pat Bryant, which actually attributes to why we haven't been seeing him as much before Sunday, as he got 5 catches for 82 yards. But if nothing else, again, you just got to credit what happened with that to Steve Spagnuolo. And the Chiefs, it's a divisional game. They're going to play up to divisional opponents. Nothing that we've seen to this point is necessarily indicative of what we're going to see from Bo in the offense moving forward. But either way, I mean, kind of wild to hear that from this guy. Nonetheless, speaking of wild to hear that from individuals, we're going to go ahead and talk about good old Stephen A. Smith. Man, this one's kind of wild to me for a variety of reasons. And never mind the stuff that he seems to have as far as heat with potential, I guess, former colleagues will say. But yesterday on First Take, of course, you would hear him and Cam Newton talking about how if the Chiefs make it into the playoffs, the Broncos wouldn't have any shot against the Chiefs. Okay, let's look at this from a practical perspective here. Broncos are likely to finish 1 through 3 at this point, okay? Meaning that, let's just say that they just so happen to be that number 2 seed, which means they would draw the number 7 seed, being perhaps Kansas City, should they sneak in. Okay, fair. My issue with this is that I feel as if maybe, just maybe, this is me kind of tying in two things that are completely separate, but I think about situations where, much like the Chiefs, the New England Patriots once upon a time, especially when they started their run, they were actually 10-0 in all of their playoff games during the run of, I believe, their first 2 or 3 championships. I'm not really sure. But either way, again, 10-0. Who was the team that stopped that undefeated streak in the playoffs? That would be the Denver Broncos. So, given the fact that the Broncos have thoroughly snatched away pretty firm control of not only the AFC, but as of now, control of the number 1 seed or the AFC West rather, but the number 1 seed in all of the AFC. I mean, moreover, Patrick Mahomes hates playing against the Broncos, and I think yesterday was a good indication of that. Now, to me, the Chiefs actually still played a hell of a game, but at the end of the day, I feel like the Broncos actually have a better team, from top to bottom. Mahomes is still Mahomes. Kelsey isn't quite what he used to be, but he'll still make things happen when you need it the most, if you're a Chiefs fan at least. And, of course, there's Andy Reid. Just because they've had all the success they've had in recent years in the playoffs doesn't mean that the rest of the league hasn't caught up to them, which they clearly have. But not only that, I mean, again, just the things that I mentioned about the Patriots can very easily be applied to the Chiefs in this situation as well. And not only all of that, but we're talking about a rowdy playoff environment in Denver. I don't know that Mahomes wants that smoke, but that's just me there. Enough of glossing on that. We're going to go ahead and get into the main subject of the video here, and that's going to be one Alex Singleton. It looks like the return is happening a little ahead of schedule, so much so we might get him for the Commanders game. How can you go wrong with that? I mean, I just talked about this yesterday. We're not only getting him back, we're also getting Patrick Surtain back. All right? And what's funny is they talked about he could have played in Sunday's game. I'm kind of glad that they didn't, to give him more time to rest and heal, not to mention the fact that the Broncos are undefeated with Surtain out. So let's let that all sink in, as we not only have him, but now Alex Singleton coming back. I mean, I think this just spells disaster for the rest of the league moving forward. And I've said before, we're seeing an awful lot of trends from this team, especially the defense that we saw back in 2015. And if that's not a telltale sign, let's think about this. Where's the Super Bowl going to be this year? I mean, too many similarities to 2015 where I just feel as if it's just all but Denver's to lose. I mean, that's easy to say right now. There are definitely plenty of teams in the running that could actually prove that kind of threat to prevent Denver from pulling this off. But, you know, right now, Denver's in the driver's seat, and it's going to take an awful lot to get them away from that. So with that in mind, let me know what y'all think below. Are we even that much more confident than we were before after the KC win, knowing we're getting PS2 back? Now we got Singleton coming through. And what do you think about the other two guys that we talked about who we won't talk about anymore? But yeah, y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. Like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed. And of course, this has been A&J. I appreciate you spending that time with me today.